the table here, and I'm actually really happy to see TSM deciding to give the last pick of game 1 to Bjergsen and put the game in his hands like that, especially if it ends up being a champion like the Caston.
That's what I was going to say. We're really expecting it. Oh, it's going to be this hype counter pick. They saved it all the way on red side for Bjergsen, and it's going to be a very similar control mage. Viktor matchup into Orianna is super common. The laser is a super good tool, though, because of the range and because Bjergsen can, wave clear, looking for harassment at the same time. But it is going to require some more scaling. Of course, you need your Hextech upgrades to be able to fully utilize the champion there. And we won't see as much roaming as with most of the other mid lane matchups that we've actually seen throughout playoffs. These two are very farm heavy, so looks like both teams with a lot more focus towards scaling there towards the late game. I'd say, though, the analyst desk did a good job pointing out Dardoch's early game. Here, he's on Jarvan, a lot more gank potential.
Yes, the gank potential, the engage potential from that Jarvan going to be very important. But when I'm looking at the side of FlyQuest this game, I'm looking at a team that has a Gangplank in the top lane. They've got a Trundle in the jungle. That Rakan is going to be paramount for them fighting when they want to. With them loading onto the Go Summoner's Rift for the first time today, and what I'm personally hoping is going to be the first of 5. What could be the first of 3. Both of these teams hoping for that for themselves, of course. And whoever wins this one will get to go on to play against Evil Geniuses. The winner of that moving on to face Cloud9 there in the Spring Split Finals. My name is Captain Flowers. I am once again joined by Kobbe, and we will be guiding you through this one as TSM will be on the red side here in game number 1. FlyQuest on the blue. And the last thing I mentioned before we got into game here, as we were leaving the draft, FlyQuest going to depend very heavily on this Rakan to initiate for them this game. Over on the side of TSM, it's Biofrost and Dardoch who have those tools to really make things happen.
Definitely true. FlyQuest all season long, ever since they picked him up, have relied on IgNar for his playmaking for them throughout the game. Funnily enough, too, they have had a tendency to have Turtle be their split push a lot in the mid game. So we'll see FlyQuest have Turtle in those side lanes later farming up. IgNar, though, getting a little extra information here. He placed that ward, you can see, super deep up on the Wolves to track Dardoch's path, and also waits around in the brush to make sure they're starting on blue.
You know, anytime other than right now, when you are that close to a Jarvan and you see the flag come down, it's terrifying because he's going to be jumping in right after it. But at level 1, he just kind of hits you with it and has to walk away. Not too big of a deal there for FlyQuest support. But I think the early game in this entire series will be so critical because in TSM series against 100 Thieves, we saw them need to get ahead early. Their mid to late game was just not there. And even in the series that we saw FlyQuest play against Evil Geniuses, despite the fact that Evil Geniuses beat them, it was EG who had to come back early against FlyQuest leads. I think whoever plays better early on in these games will be able to really snowball that forward, or will at least need to win out against their opponents.
Yeah, I would also say for the majority of the season, TSM have drafted a lot of early game champions. So if you don't get ahead early with an early game composition that falls off later and gets outscaled, of course you are going to have a lot of those games like they did, where they get these big leads and then people go, OMG, what the TSM lost again after getting this early lead? No, because they are unable to finish out the mid game. But a lot of it did previously, I think, have to do with some of the champions that they chose and then failing to execute on those mid-game leads. This time around, I think they have a lot more scaling options. Viktor and Aphelios are amazing late-game carries, so those are definitely going to be a lot easier for TSM to play out later, even if they don't get a super big early lead. That being said, this whole time we've been setting it up. Santorin did the red-to-red path, as you can see. Took that away from Jarvan very early on, so Dardoch doesn't have that. But he's just going to go over to FlyQuest red side and get some Raptors back for himself.
Yep, both junglers are going to be on opposite ends of the map here as the Scuttle Crabs are spawning, so it doesn't look like anybody's going to get 2 crabs, but Broken Blade, very early need to flash there as Solo threatens the potential of a solo kill. Let's talk a little bit about this guy, man, because for a while there in the regular season, FlyQuest top lane was looking a little dicey, and then they end up bringing Solo on. Remember, he wasn't even on a team. at the beginning of this split. He was brought on in a coaching position, and they're like, well, maybe we need to be on the front lines.
That's one of those ones, though, when you hear, oh, they picked up Solo. Oh, never mind. Let's wait for this.
Okay, WildTurtle does not get knocked up by Dardoch's engage. Manages to sidestep, but still loses a little bit of HP. IgNar also going to drop down to about half here. Gets rooted up at the very end.
Yeah, a little anticlimactic on that gank there, considering it was in the brush waiting for him. But Turtle did a good job, like you're saying, giving some damage back. Teach that jungler a lesson. Don't come to my lane again. You'll regret it. Back to your point on Solo, though. It really was a big pickup. I think a lot of people, when they heard, because they've been seeing some top lane problems for FlyQuest, when they hear, oh, Solo's been picked up as a positional coach for the academy team for top lane, you're kind of thinking that there's a high probability, you know, he gets some scrim time and eventually gets in. And he has really changed the way that this team functions coming in. We heard directly from Jizuke on the Evil Geniuses after their game versus FlyQuest how much more difficult the game got. Solo.
Ooh, nice hook coming out there from Biofrost. Once again, trying to start things off here in the bottom lane. Ignite will go down onto WildTurtle, so that's one summoner expended for one. Turtle had to use the heal to make sure he kept high enough HP to not encourage his opponents to go even deeper for that one. Both junglers are hanging around here in this bottom lane. Dardoch in the brush. Steps out now, makes himself known. Santorin is here. TSM looking to make the dive, but Santorin is there, and he forces out the flash from Biofrost. That is Ignite. Traded away for that flash. It was IgNar trying to set it up, make sure they could find the kill. Good job there by Santorin reading that TSM was going to commit.
Yeah, that's one of the best things to do early on as Trundle, is hovering around waiting for counter ganks. And Dardoch that was probably his third attempt at a play on the bottom side. In the end, they still will be rewarded, even though they don't get a tower dive, don't get any kills down there. They can just transition up to Dragon because of the extra pressure, pushing the wave into the turret. And I do like how he's playing off of the Aphelios lane. That's going to be so important for TSM.
Yeah, Dardoch has been an interesting player for TSM this split, because he's the one that there was the most conversation around at the beginning, right? Because he has played under a few different banners here in the LCS. He does have a less than spotless reputation for how he gets along with other players on teams, and a lot of people were wondering, well, did he just need the right team? Is this going to be the right fit here for TSM? And he has had some pretty impressive performances on this squad. Those games you were talking about where TSM got off to good starts early on in the split and couldn't close them, it was often Dardoch making early ganks and popping off and getting involved in these lanes. And as the team learns to work more around him, I like seeing this guy play aggressive.
Yeah, and honestly, the biggest worry that most people had when TSM signed Dardoch this year, and one of the most controversial, I guess, signings, was mainly based on attitude that people had heard about him, being difficult to work with, or not being the greatest communicator in game. Honestly, I have heard nothing negative about Dardoch since joining TSM. I think that he has done a very good job turning around that story that has followed him. And now he's following Solo down the river.
Finds the engage. Solo gets himself out, utilizing the GP ulti to provide some suppressing fire there, make it so his opponents can't chase him any further. He'd rather expend that than his own flash, but good job of Dardoch at least getting that ult out of his opponent. Means Solo won't be able to help with any plays across the map right now. PowerOfEvil and Santorin are stealing away the red buff from their opponent. Question mark pings coming out from TSM. Not quite sure if that's going down or not, but now that they've seen PowerOfEvil and Santorin both walk out, they know that's what happened. And so that means another red stolen away from Dardoch.
Yeah, we're seeing some of the costs. Jarvan does have a lot more early game options, obviously, with the EQ being such a good ganking tool. You have so much more mobility than Trundle. But Santorin is playing the objective focus, farm it out Trundle early on, gets in a good counter gank on bottom side to make sure nobody dies early. And he's getting this very good camp lead onto Dardoch during all of these ganks from Jarvan, now resulting in the first to level 6. There is a huge amount of duelist power in Trundle at level 6 here if you get to stand and fight him. He also will have a lot more presence around the next Drakes that do spawn, so I don't think FlyQuest are super worried about Drake stacking, even though TSM did get the first Ocean Drake, and of course, That is the FlyQuest tree planting Drake that they would
that, of course,
love to be the owners
the
of.
important thing to remember, the brand Drake. But Drake stacking is an interesting conversation too, because I think if the drafts weren't what they were, then maybe you care a little bit more about it, because the only time you care about the first 2 Drakes is if you're trying to rush all 4 and get the soul early on because you're afraid you'll fall off. But you already talked about it a little bit for TSM, mentioning the Viktor and the Aphelios, but even for FlyQuest, I mean, late game, they've got Xayah, they've got Orianna, they've got a Gangplank. There's plenty of tools to carry late game fights for both of these squads, so it doesn't feel like either one of them will be compelled to rush 4 Drakes and potentially suicide the game on it.
And real quickly for ESPN viewers that may not be acquainted with FlyQuest branding, they have an environmental initiative where they plant trees for kills that they get, for games that they win, and of course those ocean drakes in every game that they do play.
But only ocean drakes, not the other drakes.
Only the ocean one.
Yeah. The fire dragons, those burn down trees. We don't like those. The wind dragons, I don't know. I actually think wind is important for forests because it spreads the seeds around and helps pollination. There's like a biology.
And alternate power sources.
Yeah,
Renewable
exactly.
energy.
Yeah, windmills and stuff. And, you know, the mountain drake, that's the earth itself. That's pretty important for the earth. But bottom side is once again a 2v2 here as Kobbe and Biofrost look to step forward, utilizing the power of the crescendum. Whenever Aphelios has that, he is so incredibly potent in these skirmishes and duels. As FlyQuest will have 3 bodies here on the top side, looking to maybe make a play on a broken blade, forcing the flash over the pillar there from him. 10 minutes into this game, still no first blood. Shelly being taken very low. Dardoch is going to test this one. They're going to allow Shelly to reset patience. They don't want to risk a smite fight. Dardoch will be injured severely by the power of the shockwave, but he is able to disengage with just the EQ. Doesn't have to burn the flash. It's a pretty big spell down from PowerOfEvil, but considering Dardoch is now so low, it's TSM we have to.
Yeah, that's an objective right there. So you don't get a kill with the play, but because they chunk him out, Santorin and PowerOfEvil both using their ults on Dardoch, it's an uncontestable objective, unanswerable here from TSM. And the first Rift Herald is so good now. Ever since they buffed up the gold of turret plates, they also had a nice quality of life increase in the range on the gold acquisition of the Rift Herald. I just feel like this objective is so important for the early game. FlyQuest now will be able to get guaranteed gold. Looks like they want to also use it to zone Broken Blade off of minions. So the benefits are twofold here. Broken Blade doesn't get any gold income from this minion wave. They also are going to be able to take off a couple of plates here by hand before Biofrost even gets the rotation up.
And they feel so confident doing this because Broken Blade is the one who had to use his flash to escape when 3 FlyQuest members were top just a minute ago before that Rift Herald. As soon as the flash is down, you know IgNar can make a move like this. There's your flash and your charm. Your knockup goes through, and Broken Blade going to be in some trouble here. Solo flashing away. Broken Blade taken down. 1 for 1. TSM plays it well enough to make sure that breaks even, but now the Turbid is still under pressure. Now it's that Rift Herald summoned up, and Solo and Santorin want to finish what they've started. Biofrost remaining here on the defense. Shelly charges in. Half an HP bar left on that turtle, on that turret, and there she goes. I saw a big shelled creature on my screen. I had the tur in there. We got halfway down. It's all right.
I got you. You're a picture book kind of guy. You see a purple turtle on the screen? That's a turtle. We'll work on that turret.
All right, enough of my misplays. Let's see how these guys play now.
So this play, they decided to go for it because they know that Dardoch is going to try and trade objectives. There are global announcements as soon as you get one of these neutral objectives. They got Rift Herald, so Dardoch goes to get Dragon, and he does do that for TSM, gets it back. In the process, like you're talking about, they punish the Aatrox. No flash there, so they do kill Broken Blade. But critically, Biofrost got his Ignite off and the root off onto IgNar, which gets a counter kill for TSM, so they don't fall too far behind in the gold, while actually stacking those dragons, which previously we had thought wouldn't be as big of an issue, with Trundle gaining some good power over the Jarvan in the early game due to the excess farm that he acquired. That means that TSM are working up a very real win condition around this bottom half of the map. And that is a strong area for them as Kobbe on Aphelios. Well,
Biofrost knocked up. IgNar willing to take the opportunity to do a little bit of damage to his opponent's health bar there. Yeah, and you're talking about the Drake advantages. It's Infernal Soul too, which means more damage in the hands of the TSM carries as they stack the Drakes. And particularly important if they get that Soul, that extra pseudo-Ludens proc is Biofrost able to find a nice dredge line there onto IgNar, who uses the stasis to keep himself alive. Dash away with the grand entrance as an exit away to Turtle for safety, but now Turtle and IgNar both going to be stuck there in the Cataclysm. Dardoch trying to get himself away, Turtle having to fall back, IgNar doing the same, Turtle rooted up, looking to still try to get away, won't be able to. Turtle gets the kill into Dardoch, it's going to be a 1-for-1 as Kobbe fells him. Here comes your Chaos Storm, nearly able to take Santorin out, but won't quite do it. PowerOfEvil and Solo have also rotated down here to the bottom lane, but with the turret plates collapsing just 15 seconds earlier, that means the turret was vulnerable enough for TSM to take it out.
Yeah, TSM, they still get the kill. They still get the turret on bottom side. I think IgNar did a very good job, though, of delaying and buying time for FlyQuest to get some countermeasures in place. He was able to delay the Nautilus ultimate, activating his stopwatch there, then some good jukes outside of the turret. In the end, though, TSM very happy to actually get that bottom turret down. That's one of the critical turrets in setting up for these dragons. Nice shockwave here from PowerOfEvil just to get a health advantage. Bjergsen has plenty of potions, though, so should be just fine. But yeah, that bottom turret I think is good for TSM, and we'll see if it works down the road in their setup. Minute 45 left on the Infernal Drake here. The only other difference is trading teleports for your top laners when one team has a Gangplank is a little bit lopsided. So they've actually gone for the swap with both duos going top.
Duos are in top. Neither one of the AD carries does have a teleport this game. It is something we see pretty frequently, but this time around they have both opted to go with the heal, make it so the supports can take the ignites. The only teleport on the map that is currently available is the one from Bjergsen. With that next Drake spawning in just about 70 seconds here, it looks like that'll remain the case as we work towards that objective. Santorin back here in the top side, shadowing Turtle just to make sure he's able to farm this up safely. If FlyQuest want to fight for this Drake, they do want to make sure Turtle's able to grab that farm and go shop first. He's still sitting on only pieces of his Essence Reaver as opposed to the fully completed Infinity Edge of his opponent. There you go. That's completed. Now he's battle ready.
Battle ready. Battle hardened. Infinity Edge on the other side for Kobbe, so he can roll the dice. I actually really like the power spike at just Infinity Edge for AD carries. It's a much more fun game when they actually don't have a high percentage chance of crit. But if you do get it, then you get the full damage, big crit there. So Aphelios could possibly make some plays.
But when it comes to playmaking, the name is IgNar. Going in, starting things off here onto Biofrost, who's not taken down, but he is taken pretty low. Shockwave looking to seal the deal, and there you go. PowerOfEvil will manage to get his first kill of the game. However, that is some big team fight ultis used by the power of FlyQuest. So no Subjugate, no Shockwave, no Rakan ultimate. That means that while these tools are down, the fact that Biofrost is out of the picture means TSM doesn't feel comfortable contesting this Drake. They'll yield that one, and FlyQuest stops that soul progress.
Put your trust in IgNar, my friends. As you pointed out in the beginning of the game, Flowers, everything is on him for the FlyQuest initiation. As they disengage here, should be able to get away from TSM, even blowing a couple ults there. Both Bjergsen and Broken Blade ults down. But IgNar has just been a star for these guys, really changed the look of this team with his initiations. He finds this one here, puts a stop to the Drake stacking of TSM. And while they probably will get this Herald number 2, I think the Infernal stop was a lot more important. And as you can see as well, we talked about Turtle being the split pusher for FlyQuest a lot of the time, getting a lot of that gold. He's down bottom, going to trade a tower for the Rift Herald.
That's the that was the green light for TSM saying, look, we can take the Rift Herald. Turtle's all the way across the map. Again, no teleport on the AD carry means no way for him to join in time. Solo does rotate down to the bottom lane to make sure he can work with Turtle there to get the extra money from that turret and get the minion wave shoved up. FlyQuest with a 2,500 gold lead here, 18 minutes in. Pretty impressive and a good sign for him. Going back to what we were talking about earlier with early game being so important for both of these teams, it bodes well to have that kind of a lead.
Yeah, and we could see it too in the setup for the dragon fight that took place. Solo doing really well on the Gangplank, just farming away. He had Trinity Force and Executioners before that dragon fight even started. Broken Blade went for the rush on cooldown reduction on the Aatrox. You generally want to grab as much early as possible, then complete your Black Cleaver. You should be able to get it after the next buy, though.
Broken Blade will just continue farming for now. Still trying to. That's the problem with these CDR garage sale builds. That you don't get that first item as quick as you would like to have it. One of the advantages, because I know there's a lot of discussion online these days about Black Cleaver and Trinity Force and how you should build Trinity Force and all kinds of stuff that shouldn't build Trinity Force. And I won't get into that. But what I will get into is Black Cleaver has a much lower price point, which is normally one of the bonuses that it has, right? 3,000 as opposed to 3,700.
That's why you go to garage sales, Flowers.
Yeah, for a lower price.
Cheapo items.
But the problem is when you spend your entire paycheck on junk from somebody's attic at the garage sale, i.e. Caulfield's Warhammer, that 3,000 ends up taking 4,100 to get to. So you're actually later than the Trinity Force anyway.
I see. Cost effective, though, huh?
Yeah. It's good in the moment. Trust me. I mean, it's great for laning. You get the cooldowns, you get the AD, you get everything you want. But you do pay for it with that later item spike timer. And that's the situation Broken Blade is in right now. 2 minutes until Infernal Drake number 2 this game. This one will put TSM on Soul Point if they get it, or for FlyQuest, it'll tie them up if they can keep it out of the clutches of TSM. Baron now live on the map. Plenty of damage on both of the teams, considering they do have these strong DPS-based AD carries, but I don't think anybody's going to be looking to take Baron down here right at 20. TSM are pressuring the mid lane here with that second Rift Herald. Shelly gets the charge off, but they won't finish the turret.
And that's what matters in preparation for the fight. No turret finish, no gold there. Here's IgNar.
IgNar going in once more. The quickness, the flash. He has a little bit of CC down on the Kobbe, who's forced to flash up the wall, barely going to be kept alive. Turtle doing what Turtle does. Flash forward right in the enemy AD carry, and Kobbe is gone. Dardoch nearly taken out now as well. The dredge line from Biofrost to escape as FlyQuest press the assault. They move into the enemy jungle. They will take that red buff. They will take the TSM mid lane turret, and they will take that fight. IgNar is the man with the plan.
IgNar just doesn't miss there. He flashes in. Turtle, though, going to have to fight his way out here.
Oh, I don't think there's much fighting to be done. It's kind of just wait until Bjergsen kills him.
Yeah, I mean, he saw Bjergsen, big old buff Bjergsen, come up to his lane. He was like, well, I would rather fight these minions and try and get some gold before I die. In the end, he got a couple of them there. But previous to that, I think it was completely worth it for Turtle to flash over. He follows Kobbe. Kobbe's flash, finishes off, gets the other kill. And in the Golden Guardians game, we saw a glimpse of some of the vintage Turtle play, flashing forward, Xayah ulting forward to help them finish it off. And I was wondering if we would see him continue along that pathway in playoffs and play aggressively, look for those kills. Glad to see it actually here early on in the series versus TSM, as he was able to earn them that kill onto Kobbe. In the end, he also gets punished by Bjergsen quickly after, but IgNar had the good look there to start it all off.
Hey man, that's what I want to see, especially in Game 1. Game 1's the time to take some risks. Game 1 is the time to really get a feel for just how far you can go. As Dardoch will have to run away from Santorin here, considering he's got PowerOfEvil right behind him. Level 14 on both of these mid laners means they will pack quite a wallop in these team fights. It's Ludens and a full death cap for PowerOfEvil as this Infernal Drake is live. IgNar still going to be the guy you should keep your eyes on here if FlyQuest wants to start a fight. Pillar comes down. Broken Blade is able to walk away from that one. Solo placing some barrels down in the brushes. Wants to make sure they're able to utilize their zone control elements here to keep TSM out. IgNar finds a knockup only onto Biofrost. Quickness now going to be engaged, able to find some CC onto the back lines of TSM, but now he has to get away. Biofrost already going to be killed off. Broken Blade over the wall. IgNar finally falls. Solo looking to make the chase. One shot there in the back. One more might be able to do it. The oranges are not in time. He cannot escape the pullback from the chains. It is a 2-for-1 going the way of FlyQuest, and critically, one of those kills they got was the enemy jungler. However, the health bars are rather dire here for PowerOfEvil and WildTurtle both. meaning FlyQuest, even with their numbers advantage, doesn't feel super confident immediately starting this Drake. They also don't want to retreat because they know their opponents are attempting to take it without their jungler present. Santorin is still here. He has to be zoned away if TSM want to be able to secure this one. PowerOfEvil coming right back around through this bottom part of the river. Aphelios turret placed down. Drake still at half. Dardoch working his way back into the fight. Biofrost going to be doing the same. Bjergsen over the wall, looking to find the moves. PowerOfEvil shut down. Bjergsen is making the plays here for TSM. He will chase Santorin away, and Solo will be left for dead on the front line. WildTurtle will be collapsed on next, and FlyQuest overstaying near this Drake. They want to stop TSM from being able to take it. Instead, they end up getting crushed, and TSM walks to Baron.
Flowers! Bjergsen just turned Viktor into an assassin. When's the last time you saw that? He blast cones over, flashes onto PowerOfEvil, and absolutely styles on this man. He's got the phase rush, so he kills PowerOfEvil, walks his way out, and TSM will get the Baron. Just when FlyQuest were making such a big surge in this game, starting to dragon stack themselves with multiple Infernals, setting up with a stronger team fight, hitting their item power spikes, Bjergsen takes things into his own hands with the Viktor.
The beard was a training blade all along.
Yep, taking off that wind resistance. He's able to make the big plays for TSM. And now we really got an exciting series here. This one is definitely close, as FlyQuest also will still get the second Infernal. So really what it comes down to is TSM trying to get a lot of this standing gold. There are still 2 outer turrets for them to knock over with the Baron. They've got plenty of time to do it with.
So much standing gold on the map, man. Normally I'm looking at counting tier 2 turrets that are left alive and calling those freebies when a team gets Baron. But when tier 1s are still left up, that's just money for the taking. As Solo's going to be dove here, Dardoch and Bjergsen should have no trouble taking him down. Dardoch does fall a little bit low there as IgNar sees the opportunity to go in, looking to find the charms into the knockup. Bjergsen nearly killed off. Dardoch trying to draw their aggro away from his mid laner, but one last auto attack comes through and Bjergsen is done. Now can TSM find their counterattack? Santorin having to walk away. Dardoch going to be taken down by PowerOfEvil. TSM in a 3v4. Biofrost there on the front line. Kobbe is going to be the man with the damage. He's the one who's got to provide it here. Everybody on FlyQuest is very low. Kobbe looking to find something, but he doesn't quite have it. PowerOfEvil almost out of mana. Broken Blade looking to find the damage, able to grab it. Santorin is gone, so is the turret. Turtle's going to be going out next. Broken Blade survives. The healing from Aatrox, just insane. And TSM will take the fight.
Holy moly, the proxy behind the turret here for TSM with the Baron buff. They eventually get the tower, they eventually get the extra kills, and Broken Blade holds on to his death dance, clutching to it with every fiber in his being, stays alive, gets the extra auto off at the end to heal back up so he doesn't drop down. That was a lot closer than I thought the outer turret push was going to go, Flowers. The TSM and FlyQuest making it exciting.
This is a game 1. I can only hope the entire thing is going to look like this one. Just back and forth, back and forth. It's still only 200 gold separating the teams, but TSM has now pulled ahead. Even after they took Baron, they were still slightly behind in gold. But after taking the tier 1 and the tier 2 in the top lane, plus those kills they got, they are finally in the lead here in this game. Baron still active for another 25 seconds. They still have this tier 1 turret in mid that's just barely hanging on. A stiff breeze will knock the thing over. I don't know if they'll be able to take it with the Baron, just walk up and brute strength it. They do have a minion wave coming up behind them right now, and Solo is just now getting back out onto the map here for FlyQuest.
And one of the biggest differences that is resulting from that team fight is that now this is a triple item Aphelios versus only a 2-item Xayah. So big difference in the safety and DPS output here for the 2 carries, as Kobbe's got an extra Phantom Dancer on Turtle. That being said, though, there's still a lot of options for FlyQuest as we progress through this game. Talking about it in Champ Select, you know, they have a lot of team fight and scaling options themselves. Gangplank here for Solo, continuing to farm up, and everybody has been on the receiving end of one of those late game barrel chains that just annihilates your backline. So both Bjergsen and Kobbe will have to watch out for those, as PowerOfEvil and Solo have done very good work for FlyQuest in these late game team fight scenarios for them so far.
Also worth pointing out that with Nautilus being the TSM support, that's not a Braum, that's not a Thresh, that's not Tom Kench. It means if IgNar and PowerOfEvil are able to find that massive combo, utilizing the ultis together, and they can hit Kobbe, there's nothing that can save him from just being deleted by that. That's going to be really the big thing that FlyQuest is looking for to change the pace of these fights. Or even onto Bjergsen, same difference. He doesn't have a Zhonya's Hourglass. He doesn't even have a stopwatch. There's nothing to drop that aggro if FlyQuest can find the initiation. The next Drake spawning in a little over 1 minute. Whichever side gets this does go to Soul Point. The gold is dead even between the squads. The Drakes are even. Of course, FlyQuest does have 2 of the Infernal Drakes, so it is more damage favoring them. As Santorin, IgNar, and the rest of FlyQuest are going to step up here, clear away these wards. It was Solo and Broken Blade hanging out up there in the top side. Teleports are ready on all 4 players in this game that do have Teleport as a spell. Level 16 on Bjergsen, level 16 on Solo. Broken Blade pushing up topside still, maintaining pressure there. Solo did walk over to join the rest of the team so he wouldn't have to use the TP, but now he recognizes he will need to go back to this top lane and defend that tier 3 turret.
Yeah, that's a strategic trade right there, because what you get when you have your top laner buy the dragon way early is that you get to set up your wards first. The opponent in TSM get to push this top wave first, so Broken Blade's going to try and play off of the pressure that TSM were able to get while all the dragon wards were placed for FlyQuest. But that investment, getting the wards in front of Drake Teleport.
Oh, we're not done just yet. Let's see the fight. Santorin the target here as TSM looks to start things off. Dardoch going into PowerOfEvil, who's forced to flash away as Broken Blade comes in the flank. But now it's IgNar joining the fight. Biofrost going to be taken out here immediately as Kobbe is going to be the next target, but able to disengage before the damage comes through. PowerOfEvil looking to provide even more. Kobbe nearly going to be taken down. PowerOfEvil grabbing the kill, but now going to be killed in retaliation. Dardoch manages to claim that one. It's a 3v3. Broken Blade's got the World Ender, but he's only got 20% health. WildTurtle, utilizing this opportunity to auto-attack the Drake, look to lifesteal a little bit. Bjergsen can one-hit him if he gets the chance. Solo, the man I'm watching here on FlyQuest. He's got the most health. He'll be the one who has to step up and try to do something if FlyQuest wants to contest this. Remember, this one is not Soul. You don't have to die for it, and FlyQuest chooses to live another day.
Yeah, they can't do anything there because Bjergsen has the range advantage. Viktor's laser is so long and at this point very low cooldown. You can see him with death cap completed for himself. Those things will annihilate you. He's already level 17 on that Viktor, and he's able to zone out the 3 remaining members of FlyQuest to put TSM on Soul Point.
And I called it before the fight. I said if IgNar and PowerOfEvil can find Kobbe or find Bjergsen, there's no escape. And sure enough, after IgNar was able to find the initial CC onto Kobbe, it's PowerOfEvil who flashes in. He uses the shockwave. He finds the damage. He buys himself just enough time to stay alive with a stasis. And it was a close one. These fights are just so many bodies dropping on both sides, Kobbe.
Definitely a close one. And this is what I like to see at the beginning of a series here. Now Baron on the table, though, and FlyQuest going to try and move their wards over to the new objective. So something they've consistently done well in this game, while TSM have again taken the option to push the side wave first, letting FlyQuest set up their wards and start the objective while Bjergsen is at bottom with teleport ready. They're going to wait for FlyQuest to start it up, then come counter.
Well, let's see how long they end up waiting. FlyQuest are taking this one down rather rapidly. Santorin and the rest of FlyQuest walking out of the pit, looking to fight. Here comes IgNar, starting things off already. They've got the firing line onto Kobbe, but he's able to flash away and stay alive. And now the counterattack comes through, and Broken Blades on the rampage. Turtle's already gone, and Solo is too. PowerOfEvil grabs a kill into Dardoch, but this is an absolute slaughter of FlyQuest, courtesy of TSM. Santorin runs away over the wall, but it is a 4-for-1. It does not matter if you lose your jungler when the entirety of the enemy team is wiped from the face of Summoner's Rift. Broken Blade will continue to chase after IgNar here. Yeah, he might miss a couple Qs along the way. Yeah, the Eternal Chains won't proc. It doesn't matter.
Zag,
just
run up,
him
run down. Uh-oh.
It's a Tour de Rift.
No fair. They brought Bjergsen also. IgNar does go down. The Baron will shortly follow for TSM. and it pays off. They stick to this strategy, Flowers. They let FlyQuest set up on the objective, but then they just blitz them. So the wards aren't providing as much value. The first time around Dragon, they just pull the trigger immediately. Broken Blade teleports in, they go for the flank, they rush the fight, and they charge FlyQuest, getting the victory there. Then this time around, once again, they say, okay, Bjergsen, you're on split push duty now, you're the one with teleport up. We'll do the exact same plan, just flip the map. They let FlyQuest start up the Baron, get inside, and immediately rush them down. Absolute destruction in that team fight, and this is Baron number 2 for TSM, coming knocking at the doors.
TSM looking real strong now with that 4,000 gold lead, and they will have this Baron all the way up through the spawn of this next Drake. When it spawns, the Baron will still be around for about another 20 seconds, which means if they want, they can use this, push up for the next minute or so, then take control over the Drake area and force that down as soon as it begins, make FlyQuest come to them yet again, because it seemed like TSM has had the edge in coordination here and execution in these later team fights. Broken Blade eats a little bit of damage, but there's nothing really to worry about. Yeah, it's half HP, but you're on a champion that can honestly endure pretty well. You've got plenty of lifesteal with the Death's Dance, and the rest of TSM is providing pressure in the top lane.
Yep, Kobbe's got the Infernum now as well. Finishes up his Severum bullets, and he should have a fully stacked Infernum ready for the team fight. Definitely will be in TSM's favor as they get outer top, now outer middle, should shortly follow here with the Baron buff, and Dardoch threatening.
Oh, he's not just threatening, he's going all the way forward. PowerOfEvil stuck in the Cataclysm, but now Dardoch has overextended himself. It'll cost not only his life, but likely that of his top laner here too. Broken Blade will lose his Guardian Angel, but is TSM able to protect him as he respawns? Damage coming through, CC down means a shutdown over to FlyQuest, and 2 big kills off the back of 1 big mistake from Dardoch.
Flowers, as my good friend Spawn likes to say, there are bangers and there are clangers, and that was a clanger from Dardoch. Now Biofrost is going to have to flash out of there as well, as FlyQuest are going to punish TSM hard.
PowerOfEvil moving in there very quickly, but Bjergsen takes him down to half instantly. A lot of damage coming out from the turret of Aphelios too. IgNar jumping over the wall to stay safe. Drake spawning in 5 seconds. TSM have their 2 carries. All the damage is there for TSM. Unfortunately, none of the front line, none of the engage, none of the CC, all those things that really season the damage and make it worth having, not on the table, and that means TSM can't contest. We're going to get a 7 Drake game in game 1.
Maximum Dragons. I am definitely a Dragon fan here. We got our Captain Planet episode ready to come out as well. Honestly, though, if we look at the replay for that, there was just so much, misinformation here from TSM. It looked like they were on 2 different plans, because Dardoch did not lower his own Cataclysm. So there are 2 reasons for that. One, it was a blunder, and he just trapped himself in there, which I very much doubt, because it's quite easy to just reactivate and let yourself out. The other option would be they were expecting follow-up, and they were going to layer their AoE, like the gravity field from Bjergsen, and they were going to all pile in and get the AoE with Aphelios. We mentioned he had Infernum Gun, but the AoE was not there. The follow-up for Dardoch's engage wasn't there. Don't know which side of the play to actually blame, whether it was him or the follow-up, but TSM definitely felt that counter from FlyQuest. They're right back at it, though. Brush yourself off, Flowers. If you fail, just get back up and try again.
Yep. It's, what's the Rocky quote? It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you stand back up again, and I can't remember the whole thing anymore. I'm getting it close
That's
enough.
Exactly it.
Yeah. Anybody who's seen the movie knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. What we're looking at right now is a game with a Baron spawning in less than 2 minutes. A game where 1 victorious team fight could mean the end for either squad here. A game where the carries are just absolutely monstrous. Stopwatch on both TSM carries. That is massive aggro drop and counter engage potential on these guys, and FlyQuest must play around it. And when I look at PowerOfEvil's inventory, I see the BM book. He has faith that
BM book, page number 1. Need some emotes to flex on them with. He's got 5 pages in it so far, looking to stack it up. But that is kind of how they do come back in this game. They're talking about the item completions. I mean, these Infinity Edges, even Solo has his for Gangplank. He can get those big crits under the backline as well. FlyQuest are very fearsome right now, even though TSM have the lead. At this point in the game, with so many builds nearing end game completion, you start to run out of spots in your inventory. Inventory economy is a very real thing here for the late game, and the gold difference doesn't really matter anymore, seeing as how you need ward spots. You need spots for your stopwatches to have those big impactful team fights. And right now, if you go down the list, Dardoch, the initiator for TSM, has 2 of those big buttons. Not only a stone plate, but also a stopwatch for himself. Kobbe also picking up a stopwatch for TSM's backline. Meanwhile, on FlyQuest's side, Santorin, of course, does have his stone plate, and IgNar's got the Xayahs for the big engage.
Bjergsen sold his stopwatch for a Sheen. Instead of having the one team fight.
It's a carry mentality right there.
Yeah, that really is. That is an all-in mentality saying, I don't need this to outplay, I just need the damage. TSM will start up the Baron as soon as it spawns, but with FlyQuest as close as they are, they're not going to stay onto it. Santorin, here on the front line, tanking up a little bit, has not used the ulti just yet. FlyQuest don't want to jump the gun here. Anything used too early, anything used improperly that can be disengaged afterwards. You saw how much damage TSM did to the Baron in about 2 seconds. All they need is about 5, and they can take it down from 100 to 0.
Everybody with summoner spells available too. This ensuing fight on Baron is going to be an erratic one. So much mobility available. Chakrams are stacked up for Kobbe. So again, they can burn down the Baron in a blink of an eye.
That's so silly. He does so much damage. Every auto attack plus Chakrams is hitting it for like 700. Here we go. IgNar's got a knock-up. He's able to find it onto Bjergsen. Shockwave's not going to find much. If anything, Biofrost nearly taken down. Baron's going to be the first casualty of the fight as Broken Blade's looking to fight off 3 members of FlyQuest. Dardoch taken very low. Bjergsen managed to get himself away and now wants to come back in. It's a double kill over for WildTurtle as Kobbe's forced to flash over the Baron wall. Bjergsen goes unstoppable. He's shown up from behind enemy lines to find the damage. Turtle has to use the ulti, looking to stay alive, and the TSM carries are trying to find their damage. Solo manages to take Bjergsen out of the picture, finally. But what a bloody fight, 3 for 3, Baron to TSM. Infernal Drake spawning in 5 seconds.
The gall on Bjergsen to get a recall off in the Baron pit. That was a galaxy brain. He just, as soon as they got Baron buff, he channels the Baron buff empowered recall because he had no flash to get out of the Baron pit, and he actually got it off. Here's the engagement though. Broken Blade trying to find it as they get the Infernal Soul. Kobbe crits it down.
That was so close. Solo had a barrel right next to it. I don't know if it was either right after the auto attack or just slightly out of the range, but that was so nearly a steal.
Yep, Broken Blade trying to keep Santorin out so there's no smite, but honestly, the barrel is going to crit for more than the smite will do. So you're absolutely right. That's a huge threat there with Solo. Possibility of a steal, but Kobbe burns it down. This is full item build Aphelios. Not too shabby with the DPS himself. But man, Bjergsen, he recalled out of the Baron pit, then teleported behind them. It's the only reason I think that TSM were able to get that soul, because the teleport flank was able to get them those 2 extra kills. Solo had a good crit on Bjergsen to stop this madman's reign in the back of the lines there, but this is Baron number 3 now for TSM, Mr. Flowers, and they're done with outer turrets. They're coming for inhibitors.
Yeah, not much left standing outside of the base of FlyQuest here, and when Bjergsen came around on that flank, he did just one-shot PowerOfEvil. I don't think FlyQuest was prepared for him showing up like that as an assassin. Viktor earlier, as IgNar's looking for the play here bottom lane, they want to collapse onto Broken Blade and get a punish down. WildTurtle's able to provide the damage. Solo right next to him, preparing the barrel as a tombstone. The damage goes through and Turtle's able to secure the kill. But now what is the cost? TSM pushing in 2 separate lanes. Dardoch and Bjergsen, auto attack after auto attack into that inhibitor. Bjergsen only needs about 5 of them. AP champions absolutely incredible at taking down structures in the late game. Santorin here leading the charge, but because the rest of the team's not able to close the distance, it means TSM walks away. That is a trade of Broken Blade plus Broken Blade's Guardian Angel, which makes it extra important for the topside inhibitor.
And again, this late game looking a lot better than some of the late games TSM has shown in the past because they have indexed more heavily this time around for their composition on very strong late game scaling carries. Aphelios and Viktor, beasts in the late game. Both Kobbe and Bjergsen are definitely putting in a lot of work here. So 1 inhibitor down. That is what TSM have gotten thus far with their 3rd Baron. Looks like it will be the full reset, and they're just waiting for someone to get a little bit too close to Bjergsen. This is a fully completed Lich Bane with Death Cap and basically your highest defense
it's everything
that you're going to get with a Viktor build. So anyone who walks close to a brush that has Bjergsen in it will be deleted.
And you can see that PowerOfEvil actually sold his Medjais. He has a normal amplifying tome in inventory right now, I believe. He sold the Medjais.
I was on page 6.
Yeah, he had the money. I think he needed the money to buy the Leandries, and so now he's back to the basic book instead. He had to get the last year's textbook version of the Medjais, but that's all right. It's 90% of the same stuff.
They got him.
IgNar's finding the initiation onto Bjergsen. He may do a lot of damage, but so does PowerOfEvil, and that is a big shutdown. But the question, Kobbe, what does it mean? If all that is a kill, it doesn't mean much. But if FlyQuest can make a push, if they can get something on the map, it could go a long way.
So, unfortunately for FlyQuest, there are no big objectives for them to take. At most, it means turret here, because TSM can recall, they can defend their inhibitors. It will be a secondary turret that does give you, slight increases in chance to win the game. You get a little bit more gold with the kill, a little bit more gold with the turret, maybe some more room to work with around mid lane. But in the end, you are correct. It's not going to mean a whole lot. As the second pick will mean more, though. These are staggered death timers if they finish off Broken Blade, and they've got him surrounded.
That's both teleports used for this. It must succeed or it is a massive fail from FlyQuest. Knock-up, into another knock-up, into more damage. No Guardian Angel that time, sir. Solo's just going to hang out on the chain there anyway. It does not matter. That is the second pick on a TSM solo laner. But I'll say your line this time. Unfortunately for FlyQuest, there are no big objectives on the map.
Ah, thank you for saving my voice.
No problem, buddy. Gotta look out.
Honestly, though, you gotta love the focus here from FlyQuest. That is 3 consecutive picks. They picked Broken Blade on the bottom side when TSM still had Baron and they're pushing. That kept TSM to only 1 inhibitor taken with the Baron. Then they fire off once again. They catch Bjergsen, topside pick. Boom. This opens up for another counter objective. Then third, they get a 3rd pick. This one, bottom side, onto Broken Blade again. It's FlyQuest continually staying proactive here, even though TSM have the map control, even though TSM have the soul. IgNar looking again.
IgNar going in, and they've got Bjergsen. He just keeps finding them. FlyQuest support has just been MVP caliber for this team this game. Getting that kill onto the enemy mid laner, onto that massive source of damage, as Baron spawns, as Elder spawns in 40 seconds, is so much for this team. They've got 5 men here in the mid lane. The enemy support is only at 40% HP. This is a FlyQuest push. They are opting straight for the enemy base instead of the Baron. Dardoch will be forced away too. Mid lane inhibitor down. FlyQuest seem to not be willing to tap the brakes either. They want to continue moving forward. Kobbe is still alive. Keep your eyes on him. Dardoch's able to find some lockdown onto WildTurtle, but immediately has to retreat. Kobbe and Broken Blade looking to do some damage onto the FlyQuest players. Santorin's going to be hooked back in. Dredgeline able to find the initiation, and FlyQuest is being slammed. A nice shockwave manages to send Kobbe into the Guardian Angel as IgNar and Turtle have to retreat. It's still just a melee here as Broken Blade's in the front line, and PowerOfEvil finds a critical kill into Kobbe. TSM will punish an overstay from FlyQuest, but will FlyQuest now do the same? Turtle slaps Biofrost down, but who's that? It's Bjergsen with the teleport into the base. the back door. He's got the minions. He's got exactly what he needs. And while we're watching one into the map, Bjergsen is watching the other. TSM takes game 1.
What a freaking roller coaster, Flowers. Bjergsen spent the last minute of the game, 2 minutes of the game, in the death chamber. They picked him bottom. He's dead. As soon as he revives, out down mid lane, IgNar picks him again, and they kill him. But you know what he ends up? He ends up on the victory screen by that exploding Nexus, because as soon as he revives, he teleports down there for the counter for TSM. Oh my goodness, FlyQuest had done everything right on their list. But the problem was there's 5 items on the list. They only got 4 picks in a row. The last item was finish off their push onto the Nexus. Well, Bjergsen is dead. They couldn't do it. TSM punished them. Broken Blade, Biofrost did such a good job of hooking FlyQuest back in to force that fight on the Nexus turrets, getting those extra kills and allowing Bjergsen to teleport in for the finish. Whoa, what a game 1. That's just the beginning.
What a game 1. The beard is shaved, the gloves are off, TSM came to fight, and FlyQuest did too. That does it here for that first game. After a quick break, the State Farm Analyst Desk will break down the results and look towards the next one.